Good evening. Do a little sound check. See if anybody can hear me. Hey, Wayne and Roger. Roger says he's driving. Mark. Got the faithful on here. Thank y'all. I know we need faithful. Fight a good fight of faith, yeah. We need the faithful on here with us. I'm in my office, in my chair. It's pretty comfy. Wanted to talk about several things today. First, I want to tell everybody how much I am thankful that you guys click in and watch. I learn so much every day. I wish I could share with you guys how much I learn every day. It's amazing how much we learn. Like I said, I've been doing this a long time, and and even though I've been doing it a long time, it's amazing how much I learn. I'm humbled with how much I don't know. Compared to an average enthusiast or an engine builder or a newbie or a gearhead or a guy that wants to learn how to build engines or already knows how to put them together, but it doesn't know everything it takes to design one properly. I don't think a lot of the guys that know how to design engines usually click on here and watch me because they're up here, wherever that, up here. Yeah, and us guys that don't know, or the guys that don't know anything about engines, are down a little bit lower in that scale, but we're all equal in our passion and our interest for knowledge. So I like to share what I can based on my experience. I have a cold, sad to admit. I'm usually the guy that doesn't ever get sick, and it's been going around a lot. And Jackie Bryce is a school teacher, so she gets to go to Southland to the school and collect all the germs that everybody can have there and bring them home and share them with me. And it builds up a great immune system. I'm just going to tell you, teachers have to have a great immune system. And there's a few other people that work in offices and people that work in the airport and people that work on airplanes. I'm sure they do too. And it's big news these days, all the germs and stuff that goes around, the viruses and things. And typically I do a good job of keeping my hands clean and maybe doing a fist bump instead of a shake. But man, everything's got stuff on it. And I'm trying to get smarter every day. So when I have a choice, I get smart water. I read about it. I don't know what's so smart about it, but I thought it'd be funny since we were talking about learning that I get some smart water. And since I've got a head cold, I've got a little bit scratchy throat and I got a little bit stopped up head, and I already have a bad accent trying to talk. My friends from overseas in Europe and stuff told me, said, George, you talk like you have potatoes in your mouth. So I guess I mumble or I wobble around with my lips and my tongue. And so I'm going to try and learn how to speak more clearly. And having this head cold has helped me realize how sometimes hard it is to translate my thoughts into words. But camshafts, seems like I talk about them more than anything, but I think it's one of the most, couple things. Ring sealing, cylinder head flow, and cam timing are some very important parts of engines that are most often misunderstood, in my opinion. And this whole Tech Talk Tuesday deal is based on my opinion and also experience that I've learned from other people. And there's my talent pool of the people I reach out to that know about this and they know about that. Their talent pool is pretty deep. When I add what they know in with what I know, it makes it a great reference to go by. So I have guys on speed dial that I call if I don't know something or I just want verification, and they call me and ask verification. And I'm really thankful that those people will pick up the phone and take my calls. Also interested, when I have some of my Tech Talk Tuesdays about camshafts, I noticed that some cam manufacturers watch. I see them slide by in the comments sometimes, and I see them like on it and ask questions and stuff, and that's a little bit reassuring. But my goal here is not to try and be right about it. You know, people have all of us have different opinions. I got, you know, two of my favorite twin camshafts that I'm going to talk about here in a minute that we designed, and I'll talk a little bit about that and why. But in our business, selling parts and selling horsepower, we learn things that work and things that don't work. But sometimes the things that don't work because of us. There's not that there's something wrong with the part. It might not match what we're doing. So over time, we've learned that cylinder heads that flow more air than other cylinder heads can use less cam timing. And I'm not talking about lift. I'm talking about duration, from the time the valve opens to the time the valve closes, because you only have a certain window of opportunity for the valve to open and the air to go in the engine, and then the valve to shut, and then us to compress it and light it and bang it and make power. So that amount of time is very important. So a set of cylinder heads that flow a lot of air, like you have big valves, big ports, and a lot of air moves through there, they need less cam timing. And when I say less cam timing, I'm talking about less duration, less time the valve needs to be open. So in our most popular job that we do, has the best end results for our customers, is our Thrasher kits. We have a 107 kit we put on 98, 96s and 103s, and we make it to a 107. That's a twin cam. If your twin cams come with a 96, we make them a 107. If your twin cam comes with a 103, we make them a 107. If your twin cam comes with a 110, we make it a 113. And the reason we use those numbers is because of the cylinder wall thickness. And we use the stock cylinders, which have really nice cylinder walls, and then we bore them only enough to get the ring seal we want. And we're not trying to add cubic inches. I had a guy ask me today, when are you going to build a 131 Screaming Eagle Milwaukee 8? And it's math to us, the same thing, the same engine. If the cases are not bored, and they put a really big sleeve in there, and then they bore out that sleeve as big as it will go, 131 ends up being the most cubic inches that you can put into that engine, but that doesn't mean it's going to be the most efficient and best, most powerful engine. There's a big difference between the biggest engine and the most powerful engine. It's math to us, cubic inches and horsepower per cubic inch that is possible. So if you had a 124 cubic inch engine with thick cylinder walls and you had really great ring seal, and you made 1.2 horsepower per cubic inch, okay? Just write that number down or think about it a minute if you're driving. 1.2 horsepower per cubic inch. So that's a 124 times 1.2. That gives you X amount of horsepower. That's a good number. That's an obtainable number that has reliability and drivability, and it has good street manners. If you took that same engine and you made it a 131, now you've gone up 7 cubic inches. So that's 7.2. So that's 7 cubic inches times 1.2 horsepower per cubic inch. It doesn't change the horsepower per cubic inch if everything else stays the same. Unless it gets really big and the cylinder heads are small and the cams are small, throttle bodies are small, exhaust pipes are small, that's another story. But I'm talking about in the 124 to 131 range of cubic inches. If you take a 124 engine, a Milwaukee 8, which is a 4.185 bore with a 4.5 stroke, that's a stock bottom end. From the base gasket down, it was a 4.5 stroke 114 or a 4.5 stroke 117 Milwaukee 8. From base gasket down, it's all stock. So what we do then is we take the stock cylinders that are really thick and we bore them out to 4.185. That leaves us a cylinder wall that can support the amount of horsepower that we're going to generate based on ring seal, airflow, and cam timing. Okay? That's the three things that really matter to me. So 7 cubic inches is the difference between the 124 and the 131. Now, the 124, we're going to baseline it at 1.2 horsepower per cubic inch. And if I had a calculator, I'd do it real quick for you. And I do have a handy dandy ARRP calculator. And if you will just hold 1 second, I bet you I can be back in 30 seconds. Okay, I'm back. Sorry for you guys that new people that signed on. Let's see how many I lost. Didn't lose hardly anybody, just because it disappeared. $124 times 1.2 inches. Horsepower per inch gives you 148 cubes. 148 horsepower. That's a really achievable number. That a good set of heads, a good ring seal, and a good camshaft will give you an M8 124. Can we do 1.3? Yes, we've done a lot of them. 124 times 1.3 equals 161 horsepower. See the difference there between a 1.2 horsepower per inch and a 1.3 horsepower per inch? That's significant, y'all. A 124 times 1.3 horsepower per inch. 1.3 horsepower per inch equals 161 horsepower. Now, somewhere between 1.2 and 1.3 horsepower per cubic inch, we're starting to push drivability, reliability, and the heat generated. Race bike versus street bike, touring bike versus race bike. Because a race engine has way more than 1.2 horsepower per cubic inch, way more than 1.3 horsepower per cubic inch. That's how we're getting those really big numbers, 180, 190, 200 horse we're getting out of these Harleys is by pushing that limit. But we have found that it's okay, and you can live with 1.3 horsepower per inch on pump gasoline. And when I say pump gasoline, y'all, I'm talking about you pull up to the Chevron and you get the 93. A lot of people in different countries get 91, some people get 90, some people get 89. Octane is a big deal because of the amount of cylinder pressure we produce. Every time I take a swig of smart water, I really feel like I'm getting smarter. I know that's dumb, right? All right, let's go back to the 131. 131 minus 124 equals, that's 7 cubic inches. 7 times 1.2 equals, that's 8 horsepower, okay? So if you go from a 124 to a 131 and everything stays the same, and listen to me when I say when everything stays the same, I'm talking about the relationship of airflow per cubic inch, exhaust pipe size per cubic inch, airflow per cubic inch, cam size per cubic inch, cylinder wall thickness, ring seal per cubic inch. That's the only way it will stay the same. Because if you have a cylinder wall that is 80 thou thick and it will support 1.2 horsepower per inch, if you bore that cylinder wall out to 40 thou per inch, now you got little feeler gauges for cylinder walls. It will not support 1.2 horsepower per cubic inch. Listen to me. The cylinder walls are doing this. And when they're doing that, the rings are going like this. And the piston's going up and down 100 times a second. And the intake valves are opening and closing 50 times a second. 50 times a second. And your cylinder walls are going like this, and your rings are going like that, and the pressure goes right in the bottom end. And when the pressure goes in the bottom end with these little skinny, weeny, little thin feeler gauge looking, a spark plug gap is not enough for a cylinder wall thickness. So when you have that kind of seal, the piston's ring seal going on, the pressure goes in the bottom end. Now it overstuffs the bottom end. Plus, as you've seen on the internet, people talking about the pistons going up and down and they're going like this, right? Well, that pressure, when you open the vent cap, that pressure is atmosphere. If it's 2990 outside, the barometer outside, and you open the cap, it's 2990 inside. Put the cap back on, it's still the same pressure. So when the pistons are going up and down, there's no more pressure being added. I don't care if you turn it 10,000 or you turn it 5,000, there's no more pressure than what's in there. All we're doing is moving it around. There's so many cubic inches in there, and when this piston goes down, it moves it over here. When this piston goes down, it moves it over here, but the pressure stays the same. We're just moving it. We're moving the pressure around in there, okay? The only way it can make more pressure is if the rings are doing this, and the cylinders are doing this, and some of that intake, and some of that fire, and some of the combustion is blowing by the rings, and now it blows the gaskets out. The base gaskets leak. Oil pumps out the air cleaner. Oil pumps out the breather tubes because you've added more pressure than can the gaskets and the seals and the air cleaner vents and the little flipper valves in the valve cover can hold. So ring seal is so important. And the guys that spend all the money on the head flow and then buy the cheapest cylinders and the cheapest pistons, the biggest bore, the biggest pistons, and they got the thinnest cylinder walls, and they want the motor to be 131 instead of something that can be controlled without boring the cases, you're wasting time, man. You're not making 1.2 horsepower per inch. As soon as you lose ring seal, you're way down under 1 horsepower per inch. It is conceivable that you could take a 124 times 1.2 horsepower per cubic inch and make 148 horsepower and contain the pressure and control the rings and control the bottom end pressure. If you have the right rings, you have the right bore, and you have thick enough cylinder wall to support it, and you have enough piston strength to keep the ring square in the bore. Now, if you bore this out to an nth of its life, like if you take a 80 thou wall and you bore it out from a 124 to a 131, and now your sleeve is so thin and you're leaking. What if you went to a 131 times 1 horsepower per inch? You could pick up 1.3 horsepower. So when it gets to 140, 145, 150 horsepower, where you can control 1.2 horsepower per cubic inch, and you punch it out to a 131, it's possible that you can make less horsepower per cubic inch with the bigger engine, and therefore your output would be less, and you would blow more oil out of the breathers, and you would overheat the pistons, and you would burn up parts, and you would be very, very dissatisfied. I think that every now and then we get a couple of guys come here with a brand new motorcycle that has no miles on it and nothing's done, and they want us to put our Thrasher kit in. And when we've sold and tuned and have running today, I'm not going to exaggerate, but I'm going to say there's 250 107 Thrasher kits running around in America. Most of the guys are real happy. There's a bunch of people on here that always say, man, mine's got 50,000 miles, mine's got 100,000 miles, I've been running mine for 10 years, so all that, that's awesome. But we didn't sell them on 110. We sold them on 107. And the reason we sold them on 107 was the cylinder wall thickness, the ring design, the piston design, and trying to control. And when I say control, I'm trying to trap pressure. We're trying to trap pressure above the ring. Not below the ring, not in the bottom end, not where we have to drill holes, put vents, and make bigger spigots for your air cleaner and bigger breathers for your head and more K&N filters and all these things to weep oil. Every time you weep one, y'all, that's ring seal. Gone. It's ring seal. That's it. So we have sumping issues with the Milwaukee 8s. Everybody wants to talk to me about sumping issues. Well, my opinion is there might be something wrong with the oil pump, but why does a Milwaukee 8, a 2017, that was built in 2016, and it has the original oil pump in it, and it has never had sumping? There are guys out there with 40, 50, 100,000 miles on these first M8s that never had sumping issues. And if you lean and look at a clock of 360 degrees of all these and split it up in these little jobs, the majority of the sumping ones came from big bore kits. The majority of the sumping issues came from stage 3 and stage 4. I don't remember the numbers. That might be called a stage 4. Might be called a stage 3. I don't know. I'm not a Harley dealer. I love Harley dealers. All you guys out there that work at a Harley dealership or sell Harleys or own a Harley dealership, I'm so thankful for you, because we would have nothing to work on here if it wasn't for you. So look, don't catch me bagging on a Harley shop. Don't catch me bagging on a Thrasher kit, stage kit, stage 3, stage 4, stage 2, whatever they are. I don't know, but I know we fix a lot of them because the ring seal and the piston design. And yes, they're high quality. The name of the company that makes the pistons for Harley is one of the highest names in motorsports. But Harley doesn't tell them to make the best piston they can. They tell them to make the cheapest piston they can for this amount of money. No, make the best piston you can for this amount of money. Doesn't give me the, like when somebody comes to me and says, hey, I want you to build my bike, but I only want to spend $1,000. I'm like, dude, let me give you a phone number. I know a guy that really, really needs your work, man. I'm sorry, I'm not being cocky. I'm just saying I can't do it for that. Guys call me up and tell me, hey, how much is a Thrasher kit? And I tell them it's $5,800, turnkey, ready to go out the door. They said, well, you do it for $5,000. I said, what's your address? Why? I'm going to send you 20 bucks and a t-shirt. Why? So you wouldn't be mad at me when I tell you no. I'd rather me and you be pals and you'll like me on Facebook or Instagram or shake my hand when you see me than try and get you more money than you want to spend on your motorcycle. That's not my guy. I'm very thankful and lucky we got enough work in our shop that it cost a little bit of money to do it right. And I added it up. The cheapest kits and our kits is only a couple $100 difference. Did it make sense to you what I'm saying about the horsepower per cubic inch? I'm glad Harley came out with the 131, y'all. They had to, because these shops, my shop, and all these shops, these guys that are doing a great job all over the country, I read about them all over the world, that are putting kits, S&S kits and Cyclorama kits, and all these other companies are selling really nice kits for these Harleys, and it leaves the factory in the dust. The Screaming Eagle guys couldn't keep up. There's got to be something better than their Stage 4 kit or whatever it is they sell with that, where you use a Screaming Eagle tuner that won't let you put enough gasoline in it, won't give you timing table opportunities to make the engine run right, because they're saddled with EPA. And yes, I'm sure one day we will all be saddled with EPA, but man, it's a little baby niche market we have here where we can do more than that. We can do better than that until we're shut down by doing it unregulated. And there's companies that will make us parts the way we want them based on our 40 years experience of how to make contain ring seal, contain combustion, get massive amount of airflow, and then open and close the valves at the right time, and then control all of that with good parts and good procedures allows us to make a lot of horsepower based off the experience we have. Now, our Thrasher kits, we've been selling them, and these cams derived from what we learned on the Thrasher kits. This is a really popular cam underground. This is a 680 lift twin cam, okay? I wrote right on here, it opens at 20 before, closes at 48 after. The intake is set on a 248, and the exhaust opens at 59, and it closes at 23, and it has 262 duration. Well, let me tell you about that. This cam here is very unusual because it has a lot of lift and it has short intake duration. Now you can shop around and you can look, but it's hard to find this combination, which has really worked well for us. I got it on the screen. I hope you can see it. Are these numbers right? Is this 680? Is it backwards? Does my shirt say stand strong? Or is it backwards? Fight the good fight. Is this the correct way? I'm not getting much feedback from you guys. I see there's a lot of people watching, but not getting much feedback. But anyway, after 2 years of using this in secret, and when I say secret, in shop, I've had some really fast bikes. Ron Smith's Street Glide, fastest one around forever. 124 kit, he has this cam in it. Also, my farm bike that was the first in the 10s is an 88-inch motor. We put a 98 kit in it. We put this in it. This is gear drive only, you guys. Okay, we're selling them. I finally got these where I can sell them instead of it just being. I mean, for 2 years we kept them off the market. Every now and then I have a little bit too many of them, and I'd go and do a private sale. But now I decided to go into the market. We're going to sell these 680 lift, twin cam, 07 and up. This is a gear drive. Okay? So that means you got to use the S&S gear drive. If anybody's interested, this is guaranteed to make power. And this is a combination of numbers that I've not seen on the internet and any other company has. And now I know that I'm talking about it. It'd be easy for somebody to do it. But this cam works. We're trapping it. We're closing the intake valve at 48. But our heads flow a lot of air, so we're getting a lot of mixture in. Then we're shutting it at only 248 duration. Then the exhaust, it opens at 59 before bottom, and then it closes 23 top. This combination of 20 and 23 gives us a short overlap, which gives us good low end power, but this pulls all the way to 7,000. Gives a really broad power band, and it's super quiet. People talk about gear drive, a little bit noisy. I don't hear it. The second one that I've come up with that I'm really happy with, this is about the biggest cam we would sell for the twin cam. This is gear drive also, and you're talking about trapping efficiency. I'm opening it at only 18 degrees before top dead center. and closing it at 50. And when you have a nice set of heads that really flow a lot of air, and you can slap that valve shut at 50 after bottom with only 248 duration, this traps a lot of air. And then also 264 on the exhaust. This is a combination that I've not seen for sale with 64 and 20, which only has 38 overlap. Overlap is 18 added to 20, it makes 38. That's how much overlap. That's how long both valves are open. That's really short. That's a lot of lift. That's a short intake duration and a long exhaust duration. This is a combination that hasn't been for sale that I've seen on the internet. We have a new cam that we're doing for our 107 kit Thrashers. It's going to be around 650 lift, and it's got even more detailed cam timing based on our experience. But after you have 250 of them in the field with great feedback and great results, it's time, instead of using some S&S cam or some T-Man cam or some other companies make, Andrews, there's some company, Woods, all those guys make great cams. But we have our style that suits our style. We have cylinder heads that flow a lot, and we have camshafts that trap the mixture, and then we have ultimate ring seal. We have the best cylinder wall, ring finish, piston finish, so that we can control the ring lands, so that we can translate that into power. Very controversial subject for the competition, and then all of us have our favorite teams, just like it happened on the Super Bowl, man. You got San Francisco fans, and you got Kansas City fans, and everybody doesn't agree. We got, in politics, same thing. We got left and right of the aisle. Everybody doesn't agree. But this is our opinion of how to do it right. Ron, Randall, Monica, myself, and Jackie and Maggie here, we have done a good job of assembling this information over time, and now we're translating it in small amounts to small amounts of people. This is not for everybody. I'm not trying to get into a mass marketing deal. I'm not trying to get into where we sell more cams than anybody. I don't want to sell more pistons than anybody. I just want the guy or the girl that's looking for a little more than everybody else. And the price isn't as important as the results. I understand you want what you won't pay for. Me too. Everything I buy, I want what I pay for. I don't want to spend $8 extra if it's only worth $5. I want a full $5 worth. The thing that we feel like we're offering is $5 worth for $4. You have to get what you pay for, or it's no good. And doing this a long time, we've learned a lot. And sorry about my cold. Sorry about my voice. And I didn't get to cover everything, but I want you guys to understand that the biggest ain't the best. If you're looking for the biggest engine, get you a 131 kit. They sell them at a bargain. You can even get them put in a new bike. They'll even finance it for you. I'm proud of them for doing that. I'm not a big fan of that particular 131. Now, we sell 133 kits, 137 kits, we sell 139 kits, and we sell 143 kits for the Milwaukee 8. But the first thing we do is we bore the cases out, we prep the crankshaft to get it right, and then when we bore the cases out, then we put really thick sleeves in. So we don't have the shop limit of the biggest it can be. Our shop limit is, well, what's the thinnest the cylinder wall can be and still support the pressure. If you're building a nitrous motor, it needs thicker cylinder walls. If you're building a turbo motor, it needs thicker cylinder walls. If you're building an all engine, all power, all motor, big cubic inches, it needs lots of cylinder wall. If your goal is to have the biggest engine, get you some breathers, get you a better flowing air cleaner that has the big hoses coming out of the head to suck the oil in, or get you some catch cans so that you can contain the pressure. But just remember, the pressure that's going out of your breathers, it's going into your air cleaner, is what's sliding by your rings. When you detonate, when you shake, when your rings rattle, and when the pistons cylinder walls don't stay round, and you're trembling, and you're getting those little thin cylinder walls. Man, listen, you can't ask a 40 thou thick cylinder wall to contain more than idle pressure. Maybe 100 PSI will hold up in there. But when you got that bad boy cranked up and you're turning it up to peak torque and peak power, and it's trying to blow the cylinder head off, it's trying to blow the head gasket, it's expanding the cylinder wall, you want something substantial where that pressure will be contained in that small space and push the piston down and turn the crankshaft. Not blow oil past the rings, past the piston, and out the breathers. Okay? Thankful for what I've learned. I'm thankful for how I get a chance to share this to you guys. Thank you all for listening. Please, if I made your hair stand up on your back or you get mad at me, forgive me because I'm only sharing what I think I know. Drink smart water. Maybe you'll feel better soon. Thank you. God bless you.